Welcome to my American History Notes, where I discuss my conclusions that I've drawn from studying American history. You won't agree with all my conclusions. You might not agree with any of my conclusions, but you should know or have a belief or opinions drawn from your studies on the subjects that I'm talking about, the events and the people. So you're conversant in American history. Um, and so I'm going to begin, and we're talking about the buildup to the American Revolution, which was our independence, the war for independence from Great Britain. So, with the failure of the Albany Plan of the Union to unite the colonies in common defense, the loosely administered imperial system continued on. Benjamin Franklin was dismayed when he went to England to plead Pennsylvania citizens' grievances against the proprietor family of the colony, the Penns, to them and to the British government. The understanding was that the colony's assembly would write a law which the king would have the power to veto or assent to, and once the act became law, it could not be revoked by the king. Now he was being told, after the 7 Years' War, that the king was the administrator of the colonies, and that what he gave the governor as instructions, after having carefully been considered by the British judiciary and government, would be law. The former case would be cooperation through representative government with the authority of the king as enabled by parliament. The latter would be autocratic government, bypassing the representatives of the people of the colonies. This was unacceptable to Americans, who had been used to having at least a modicum of respect shown to the representative form of self-government. When George II died in 1760, all royal commissions were revoked. The king began appointing judges without regard to the wishes of the colonial assemblies. He had always had this right in America, but easygoing royal governors had made appointments to please the assemblies. Not anymore. The New York governor, acting on the king's orders, had appointed a judge that the assembly did not want from Boston, but the assembly refused to vote him a salary. They were then ordered to pay him out of the general fund. Some colonies simply went without courts for several years out of resentment. The idea that if judge was executing his duties properly, the crown would leave him alone was a right had in England since the glorious revolution of 1688. This quote, tenure for good behavior, was something the colonists, as good Englishmen, believed that they should have as well. The caprice of the king in deciding who should be judge and who should continue to be judge stirred people to resentment. From, from 1763, for the next 12 years, the statesmen and heroes of the colonies wished for things to be the way they had been before George III took power. John Adams even said that the old colonial system would be preferred to revolt. A new set of heroes arose in the colonies after the French and Indian Wars, usually in their 20s and 30s, over constitutional issues. Christopher Gadsden resisted an attempt of the royal governor of South Carolina in 1762 to void elections to the assembly he disliked, of the people he disliked, and was successful. Patrick Henry, as Thomas Jefferson, came to the front on the Two Penny Act. Thomas McKean fought with the governor of Pennsylvania. John Morin Scott led opposition to the Quartering Act. Excuse me. James Otis and the Adamses came forward on the Writs of Assistance and Revenue Act in Massachusetts. We're going to continue, but we're going to stop for now. I want to give this some understandable divisions. Think about what I've said, and we're going to talk about this feeling of independence. And this is very important, what we're going to be discussing, to understand the mindset of the people, especially the leadership. This is a top-down revolution, so very, very important to understand. We'll continue next time. Thank you very much.